Welcome to the lounge and the European indices, and I'm going to look at the DAX here on the daily chart. Now, I'm not sure what that's doing there, but we'll just remove that for the time being. Now, this is our count so far. Well, let's just go over a few things. First of all, we were looking at a moving up through here, which the box is the 61.50 and 61.8 retracement level of the previous whole wave down. So we figured that there'd be, resistance there, approaching large numbers, 11,000, 11,500, the medium level here, but also this whole block of supply over here. Now, it was possible that we could be looking up here as wave B and then looking down for wave C. However, it does appear that the move that we've got up here is impulsive and not corrective. So that means we can pretty much sort of remove that wave B there. Now, so look, as it stands at the moment, there's wave 1 and 2, and then a nice 5 waves up for wave 3 and wave 4. And we're looking at wave 5 here that's made a new high here. So what we'd be looking for here would be an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave here, and then another move up from here. Now, we had a bit of problems with this particular structure down here, and it's also possible that I'm just sort of shooting the breeze here and looking at things. Even if we had this as 1 and 2 here, then we would still have this as 1 and 2 and 3 here, 4 and 5. So it would actually make one more larger situation here, and this would pull back to wave 4 here, and then wave 5 up into this area here. And this is not such a silly count either, but the main point here is we'd have to expect the market to pull back roughly, well, to here or before that gap down there, somewhere in that sort of space, 38.2 retracement level from wave 2 to wherever that wave 3 top is here, which comes in roughly at the wave 4 of 1 lesser degree. So in both cases, we would be looking for a corrective move back, as a wave 2 or wave 4, whichever way you looked at it. The only other count that's sort of left standing that's also possible as well is that the move up here could be, it's in 5 waves and it may not be finished yet. We can look at all that in a moment, but basically just a wave 1 and 2 pulling back, a 3, a 4, and a 5 here. And the reason that I'd say that this would extend, and that would be based on this wave 4 being here and this wave 5 being here. And the reason that would extend for is because this whole move here is extended as well. So we are seeing, we're seeing something in growth. We're seeing something growing here. Yes, we know that, it's heading into resistance and so on. But I just wanted to go over those couple of counts here because, in one way or another, we're finishing this little 5-wave structure that's in here. Do you know what I mean? There could be just a little tad more to go, and we can look at that. But this one here is finishing. So the S&P 500 is moving into the 2100 area. That's also like close to old highs. There's going to be, some pressure there as well. So in one way or another, we're going to see corrective price activity here. It's also very rare that for me with the levels not to see the market move up from here to the 11,500. So that's on my mind. When a market leaves 10,000, trading level 1, it would normally move to the next level. So that's at the 11,500. So I'm still looking at this as sort of being, a bullish picture here. So it can move higher. There is another count for, well, basically the same. If I go to a 6-hour chart here, which would leave this kind of what I just mentioned before in a way, in terms of using this as wave 1 and 2 here, and then 5 waves here for wave 1 and 2 here, and then 3 and 4, and then 5 to here, nearly finished, of 3, then back for 4, and then up for 5 for 1, and then back for 2, and then building up that way. So that's a real possibility, as I just mentioned. The way that we've got it at the moment, as you know, is that we have, if we just remove this and this here, that makes it kind of simple, and then we remove that, and remove that, and remove that, then we would have 5 waves up here, and in a nutshell, we'd be looking back for a 61.8% retracement level for wave 2, or even a wave B here. So it can pull back to this space here. Normally it would just pull back to the way in this degree of structure, it would just sort of pull back into this sort of area here where the volume support is here. But one way or another, we need to consider corrective moves here now. So the other point here is that if I just remove this and use this clean, nice clean chart here, is that in terms of the trading levels, there's really just sort of 2 patterns that can occur at a level, and the 11,000 is the largest number here, and we're seeing the largest correction here. And quite simply looking at the arrival, the reaction here, and then 5 waves up here to create the first high above the level, and then we would see a correction here, and then a move up from here. So how far this correction is going to come back is the question. When I look, I think I had it on the 2-hour chart. I'm not sure. No, it must have been the 4-hour chart. Just this is the other sort of scenario that can play out here, and I kind of like this too here, really. So as I mentioned, at 11,000 here, the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level in 5 waves, and then the ABC correction here. So we could look, once this is completed here, the first thing that we're going to look for is the 61.8 retracement level of this move up through here. Okay, so that would obviously come in somewhere sort of in this space here. And, as this, I think this has got one more push here, and we'll look at that, but, an A and a B and a C wave here. This is what we've got to have a look at. We need to see what this move is here. We need to see if it's, if it's corrective or if it's impulsive. If we get 5, 3, 5, and then the market starts to move up here, overlapping the low of this, then we know that we're going to be going higher from that point. But if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, if we get 5 waves here, then we'll get an A, B, C here, and then we'll get another 5 down here into a bigger picture. And then we would need to look at the next level down here as wave, the previous wave 4. So there's steps that we need to take here. So we're going to see the S&P 500 struggle at the 21, the Dow up near the 18,000, and so on. So yeah. But as it stands at the moment, if we just sort of drill into the 15-minute chart here, we're looking at next session being positive. So we're looking at this move, this count that I've got here from wave 4 here, all this up here. I sort of use the physical market, the cash market, to help with the count at times. But basically wave 1 and 2 and wave 3 and 4, and we're looking for wave 5 moving up here. So I think there's one more move to the upside here, in terms of from wave 4 here, 1 and 2, and then all of this is wave 3 here, wave 4 pulling back to the wave 4 of 1 lesser degree, and then wave 5 up here. We can also note too that this trend line through here is from the daily chart as well, so I think that that's kind of interesting, and we're going to leave that in play there. So if we just go back to was it the daily chart here, this trend line coming through here, you know, that's quite significant, isn't it? You know, breaking out through that, so that's also a positive thing as well. And normally they'll move up above it and come back and test it and play around with it, but we can use that to our advantage as the market unfolds in that point there. So I'm not going to cover the other markets because I've spent 10 minutes doing this one here and I don't want to make them too long, but they're all pretty similar in the sense that we're looking for a top now, and if I've got it wrong, it means that this top here is already in play here. So if this market drifts below the 11,000, then you know that the top is in play. But otherwise, we're just looking for one more little new high in the next session here. So if that drifts, you know, too far down through here, then, you know, as I mentioned, there's a top in play, and then we need to start working the larger correction here. We need to figure out what it's going to be. So as I mentioned, the first step would be that from this low here, let's just say that that's going 11,200 is going to be the high here. So that's going to leave us at this kind of spacing in here. Now this is always interesting because, you know, as a corrective move, we normally look for the ABC coming back here, but also too, if it's going to be wave 1, then we can also look, quite often, put it that way, quite often the first 5 waves down will come also to the 61.8% mark, and then move up here for a correction, then a move down. So the trick is when we get to this space here, the 10,800, the question we need to ask ourselves, do we have 5 waves or do we have 3 waves? That will be the first thing that we'll be looking at there. So yeah, as it stands, next session to the upside here, but I wouldn't expect it to move too much past the if you're going to trade it up to this number here as such. So yeah, all right, well that's it. Thanks for tuning in, and apologies for not doing the other markets, but they're all going to be quite similar. The DAX is moving with the S&P 500, so everything's moving in line. But the other point that worth looking at as well is that if the market finishes strong on high volume, then it's likely to follow through on the Monday, and it means that we're still climbing higher. So we'll consider that as well, but let's just have a look at what we get first. Okay, cheers.